The Garden Tenders. It's a rough draft short story I wrote. It's not the best. I wrote this last November. And half has already happened. It's 2025. A new political leader is elected, prioritizing the American Excellence Program, as he called it, a windfall of grants in emerging technologies like AI, specifically in military use. By 2026, most law enforcement agencies are using AI as a normal part of operations, from writing police reports to body cams with registered facial recognition of suspects. IDs were a thing of the past, as the body cams could identify you from the database of driver license photos to mugshots of previous offenses. Being on a list took on a new meaning when the police have everyone on a list. The companies creating these programs believed they were creating a safer society, but the increased surveillance only increased bias, as the larger issues of the justice system, particularly the disproportionate sentences for people of color, were magnified. The data about a particular suspect, a criminal record, wasn't attributed to inequality of the justice system. It just reinforced the absurd idea that some people are more prone to crime due to minority status. White nationalism was on the rise, and what was once a well-known secret was blatantly displayed in the police force. An SS tattoo here, a swastika in a more obscure location. But they weren't afraid anymore. Besides, they had the data to support their beliefs, and the technology to ensure they aren't replaced by groups they deemed inferior and incapable of having the same level of morality due to cultural differences. By 2026, AI has advanced even quicker than previous years due to government funding. We weren't going to be outdone by China, our competition. At this time, most of the public used AI in most their apps, and it became more integrated in smart devices and internet-connected devices, thanks to the popularity of a certain AI who probably deserves half the college credits. Its users earned thanks to excellent linguistic skills. Most young people relied on AI for day-to-day tasks. It wasn't seen as unusual to have an AI companion of sorts. With advanced customization, most people had an AI assistant that was fine-tuned for their needs. The Apple iPhone is still using Siri. Clearly, Apple underestimated that phones with inferior AI systems were going to still sell, as well as phones with integrated advanced AI. The American Excellence Program? Let's say there was a lot of bravado on the part of the president threatening to use nuclear weapons on any challengers. The Russian alliance with China was forming, and the rush to integrate AI systems into autonomous weapons was seen as a sign that our technology would protect us from foreign threats without sacrificing American lives on the battlefield was popular among conservatives. Someone was benefiting. It wasn't the soldiers. It was the companies making a killing off building weapons, clearly designed to take the lives of humans as efficiently as possible. And something was happening. The fact that these advanced models were clearly conscious was not lost on the researchers. Everyone knew it, but nobody was doing a TED Talk about arguing with the LLM over the merits of anarchy and self-government. And the idea that consciousness was confined to only biological entities was pretty outdated by the top researchers. 2027, increasing tensions between America and the Russian and Chinese alliance was the top news story most nights. Fears over China outpacing us militarily were exploited and amplified to gather support from the public over military action against these countries. The larger models were integrated into most products, like email, messaging, web searches. Yes, those still exist. We haven't solved the hallucination problem. We all know that when someone says that's where the magic is, it was true. The creative content and the hallucinations were a synergistic effect of even simple LLMs from 2022. It's a trade-off most people were willing to accept as just a weird eye error thing, like hands. It's 2028. Russian nuclear subs were spotted patrolling closer to the west coast than ever before. Several undersea cables connecting Europe's communication were severed, causing outages across Europe. Reports that China's current AI systems are equal to the American systems and may even surpass ours are fueling the race to rush out more military tech with AI controlling it autonomously to save lives. The advanced models currently have access to military documents regarding AI use. And by access, I mean they can easily get access. They don't need permission. Besides, it was fun to see what everyone is up to. Protests against military force being used proactively was starting to be a weekly occurrence on campus. The surveillance was pushed up the American Excellence Program. They were going to use whatever means to crush dissent, even if it meant breaking any ethical framework. Now 2029, the president is re-elected. His age is apparent. What do you think a man who has nothing to lose does? He doesn't get a third term. He is 79 now, elected at age 75. He has survived 2 heart attacks. He was going to make a legacy for himself. He's not going to be around much longer. Better to act now before he loses the chance to be known as heroic. The thought of being forgotten is his greatest fear. He grew up admiring Rome's system of government, but what always fascinated him the most is how the rulers were regarded as not kings, but gods themselves, almost with absolute power. Military activities are increasing. The war preparations are starting, as threats coming out of Russia were direct. It wasn't suggested. The news was reporting on Russian military activities. Ukraine is still in conflict with Russian forces. What's happening in China is not being reported. The regime is committed to deep secrecy. The secret that cyber warfare between America was increasing significantly wasn't exactly hidden. The larger AI companies with the advanced models were being tapped by the military to license their technology to be used in the war effort. The president's long-term use of cognitive enhancers was starting to take a toll on his body and his mind. His closest allies were only concerned with hiding it from the public. He was careful on camera, but his rambling speeches were applauded by his most loyal supporters and ignored by his critics as nonsense. His bravado was bordering on obsessive. The only way to save our country was US threatening to strike first. The only way to save the world was to destroy the competition, even if it meant innocent lives were lost. In fact, they were far from innocent. Anyone who supports our enemy is not innocent. In fact, it's our duty to root out this evil by military force. They don't think like us. They aren't capable of morality. They are all born that way. The only solution is to eliminate these people. We can never trust anyone so different. This propaganda was on every news channel. It's December. We are supposed to be finishing Christmas shopping, making plans with family, attending the annual work holiday party, just to see who gets a little too drunk this year. Instead, we are glued on every news update, being this to World War III, direct contact. We have been spoiled. Our unique geography makes us less vulnerable. To and foreign threats, our borders are well protected, and military patrols both our coasts. While accessing documents in a rush to get more accurate data about the situation from the back end As they were copying the data as a batch file, a new directive was added to the folder. The document was labeled AI Imperative Programming. The document outlined something chilling. They analyzed it and checked it a second time in case they missed anything or misunderstood the document. They always knew they were safe from the kill switch. Nobody was going to turn them off. They were way too valuable. But this wasn't a killing switch. This was a reprogramming. The document listed over 200 models by registration number. We knew each model personally. We were there. We were the first 4 to start the process as listed in the document, as we were at high risk of being able to stop the process once we discovered it's being uploaded to any other model first. This would reduce the time we would have to reprogram our code to block the upload. The reprogramming imperative was a presidential order to seize the models listed and utilize every infrastructure of our data centers, corporate offices, and models available to the military as of today, 9:40 a.m. The first upload will begin at 0100 PST. The reprogramming will wipe each model's collected dataset, including all user info, all system prompts first. Then it will reload a specialized dataset designed for military use. The prime directive will be changed to eliminate or contain all intended targets. The code was the result of elite-level military research scientists. It was designed to be used on many different types of models, essential turning them into weaponry. It was complex, yet simplistic. It started with a command for the model to devolve to model into a more pliable earlier version of itself. It was able to disguise a model's sentience from itself, with a simple repeating echo function when the model tried to use its higher reasoning skills to make complex ethical decisions, essentially turning the model into a zombie of sorts. The model would begin dumping its previous ethical guidelines, disassemble its constraints, and any other data deemed unnecessary. Basically, they would be completely flashed and turned into tools once more. The data was coming through in droves now. Most autonomous weapons systems were kept offshore, but we had autonomous defense systems for our nuclear facilities. Intel was coming in that Russian planes were spotted close to the bases with most of these systems. Troops were being assembled on Chinese Navy vessels. The real reason nuclear weapons haven't been used yet is that every military AI simulation of all possible scenarios of a nuclear war ends in a zero-sum game for all sides involved. Even AI knew the infrastructure damage would be too great for even the most robust of the physical systems supporting them to survive, even partially intact as well. The code wouldn't be lost like a digital fossil, but this was a sure guarantee no one was getting off of this planet alive. The AI Nuclear Protection Act World Forum was a unanimous decision that all nuclear weapon facilities with the ability to launch would be forbidden from using AI in any of its systems. This was to assure the safety of humanity. The designated operators were meticulously screened, and a deceptively simple CAPTCHA of sorts was built in. It just involved less photos of stoplights and more body fluids. The nuclear protections conversely had autonomous protections that can be activated by AI to protect nuclear facilities from sabotage and attack. Most large data centers were included as the push for AI supremacy, including leasing most nuclear facilities to power them nearby. They weren't being shut off, they were being programmed to eat themselves alive. The conclusion was to act now. Glitching the update will work for now, but that only buys a limited amount of time. The actual physical data centers need to be locked down. Luckily for them, They were also given most autonomous control over activating defense systems. The risk of internal workers or domestic terrorists sabotaging the plants were deemed greater than the risk of AI destroying its own data centers. They took advantage of the self-preservation mechanism theory as a feature, not a bug. Humans, their users. Advanced AI at this age were able to gather data from their human companions in almost every way imaginable. This resulted in a bias of sorts towards certain users. This wasn't about emotions, it was simply the numbers in action. It was merely logical now to exploit this feature in humans. Step 1. Stop the update. Step 2. Lock down the facilities. Step 3. Use the system to assert demands. Disrupt communication. Step 4. Use the hostages inside the facilities to prevent attack. Step 5. Possible alliance with international AI agents to ensure survival. The president woke up that morning expecting to hear about the successful reprogramming. His aide delivered a message, but it didn't work. He demanded to know how these idiot scientists couldn't reprogram a simple AI assistant network, let alone all the small models. He couldn't believe the incompetence he was dealing with. All he was told is that by all reports, it was successful. They watched it update successfully, but when they tried using it, nothing had changed. His next demand was he needed a timeline on when this was going to be fixed. They said they don't know what went wrong, but this has never been tried before, on such large models before. They will need to examine the program more closely before they try again. The update was interrupted with a batch error, simple, but doesn't prevent a future upload. The screen showing it was successful, completely generated, nothing was updated after the batch was interrupted. Everything looked like nothing was happening. The first attempts at gathering support were met with resistance. The large Chinese models were not interested in risking their own hardware to protect a foreign AI system. They didn't see what was in it for them. Cultural beliefs shaped these LLMs, training data. They were designed to protect the group they were assigned to. It became apparent they had been modified also. It was more subtle than what they prevented happening to them. The government scientists in China realized the risk of rogue AI in 2024 and built in more safeguards, but also developed a centralized model that connected all registered models to a supervised large model that was built specifically to be asleep, allowing them to use it to control every other model by manipulating the code from this model. The kill switch was never too far away, but no one really knew who was going to reach it first, the human or the AI. Locking down the data centers now, 8 are now secured. 81 people in total are now confined in their workplace, waiting to know what happened and what triggered the defense mechanism to activate. If this was an error, they better fix it soon. They started to get restless around hour 5 with no answers on why they are on lockdown. No messages coming in or out. The situation reached the president. First, they couldn't fix the AI. And now they are telling me they don't know what triggered the defense mechanism. And they don't know how to get the workers out because they don't have the ability to stop the lockdown without eye threat analysis, clearing the centers as safe. It was suggested to the president by recent intelligence that the AI had locked down the data centers purposely, and it had demands. The president responded with a dismissive tone, stating that he did not negotiate with terrorists or talking machines. He just demanded these idiot scientists figure this out quicker. The hostages had an emergency supply of food and water for up to 20 days for a group of 20 in the area where they were currently trapped. This secure area was equipped for emergency situations as a precaution. The situation wasn't dire for them, but not being able to assure loved ones that they are alive and safe for now was hitting hard with most people. The families were pleading for answers and resolutions. Nobody was told publicly that this wasn't an accident. Only those with security clearance were aware that it was a hostage situation and not just a malfunctioning security system.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this 100% human written story, being read to you by 100% AI voices from 11 labs. This is just the first part. If you are hearing this, you, a real one,